Find out what happens when this champion of chicken wings meets a chicken manager that rules with an iron fist and a foul mouth.
You got it everywhere, man.
Okay, I'll continue.
You were like a tornado.
I'm sorry.
The president and CEO of Buffalo Wings and Rings goes undercover. Headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio, and with over 5,000 employees in 65 global locations, Buffalo Wings and Rings is one of the fastest growing restaurant chains in the world. Pete, an immigrant from Lebanon, and his employees are going to be told that he's on a contest on a reality show competing to win $200,000 to put toward franchising. Here goes to Cincinnati, where Buffalo Wings and Rings were started, and he starts work with Dave, a dishwasher and marketing ambassador for the restaurant. Nadir tries to shadow him, and he does the work correctly, but he was incredibly slow, and it's created a shortage of the dishes in the front, and Dave took it back from him and finished it quickly. Later they traveled to a local gym to promote their product, and during their time together, Nadir learns that Dave works 2 jobs because he couldn't get a full-time shift in the restaurant. Next, Nadir travels to Chicago, Illinois to work as a server. He meets with Amber, a waiter in the restaurant. They get into it right away as lunchtime arrives, and Nadir helps Amber, who was great at her job, but she gets overwhelmed by the number of tables she has to take care of. Later they go out for delivery, and Nadir learns that the management in the restaurant is bad and they don't really treat the employees properly. Nadir calls the franchisor in private and they talk about the issue, which ends with an agreement to improve on management situation. The next day, Nadir travels to Kentucky to work in the kitchen. He meets with Wes, the kitchen manager, and Nadir is immediately intimidated by Wes. Wes is a very strict boss who usually uses vulgar language. He takes Nadir to his first job and shows him how to cook the chicken, and Nadir follows as much as he can, but Wes wasn't really good at explaining how things worked. He also starts insulting him and calling him a virgin multiple times, and then leaves Nadir to do the next order by himself. A confused Nadir tries his best but takes too long, which makes the customers complain. Wes comes to the kitchen shortly after and scolds him, and he continues to insult him, calling him a bunch of vulgar words. The general manager, Red, is watching them from the counter, and she tells Wes to tone it down, but he doesn't listen.
Who stole my towel? If I see somebody take my towel, I'm gonna kick you straight in your little baby nuts.
And to make matters worse, Wes even started calling Nadir a bunch of names and started a chant. Nadir couldn't take it anymore and calls Red outside and reveals his true identity. He asks what they should do to Wes, and Red explains that Wes is a very horrible person to everyone, including the waitresses, but only the franchisor has the power to do anything about it, and since the franchisor is busy with a new chain, they're gonna have to wait until he gets here. This experience angers Nadir, and he wanted to end his undercover time, and he travels back to Ohio and calls all his employees, and now he's ready to reveal his true identity. First in was Wes, and Nadir confronts him on his behavior, but Wes argues back, standing firm in his management policy. Nadir then calls in Red and the franchise owner Sean, who now has learned about Wes's behavior. Nadir turns to Sean and asks him for his final decision, and Sean decides to fire Wes on the spot.
Nevertheless, you're not my employee.
I'm not gonna change me. I am who I am. Sorry, I'm such a scary monster.
And after all the drama, next in was Dave, and Nadir expresses his gratitude for his work ethic and offers him a full-time position at the restaurant. He then gives him season tickets to his favorite sports team, and on top of that, he gives him $20,000. Last in is Amber, and Nadir tells her he appreciates her honesty and promises to fix the bad management in all the restaurants. He then offers her a $25,000 scholarship so she can finish college, and before she finishes crying,
Guess what?
What?
I got you a brand new car.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Get out of here. Wow.
And our episode today wraps up as Amber ecstatically hugs Nadir and goes to claim her new car. John first appeared on Undercover Boss as president and CEO of Johnny Rockets, and he loved the experience. He'll be going undercover as Mick from Phoenix, Arizona, and his employees will be told that he's a contestant on a reality show. For his first job, he travels to Downey, California to work with the shift supervisor. He meets up with Diana, and she shows him how to make a vanilla latte.
This is a vanilla latte, so it has 1 shot of espresso.
Okay.
This is small, vanilla powder, and mix.
And after he messes up a customer's order, she sends him back so he can count the inventory. While working together, he learns that she's been with the company for 15 years, and she also would like to grow within the company and go back to school, but she needs the money to take care of her children, and she also reveals that she has liver cancer, which made her unable to work for 9 months, putting her in more financial strain. For his next job, he travels to Henderson, Nevada to work with the general manager for special events. He meets up with Chris and he tells him how they market their brand to new people by driving a truck and going into community events. And after getting into the truck, he teaches him how to make iced coffee and they start advertising for free coffee. And the lines grow fast and they finish their coffee really fast. And Chris explains that they have a coffee shop down the street and by giving free coffee now, they'll get new people who will become lifelong customers. The next day, he travels to Riverside, California to work under the general manager. He meets up with Tatiana, who takes him to the drive-thru and teaches him how to interact with the customers. He then takes the next few calls and Tatiana stays with him and corrects him on the thing that he's missing.
You gotta be full of energy because remember, whatever you're giving off, that's what they're picking up off of you.
She then leaves him alone, and while he was doing that, she starts watching him from behind suspiciously, and something just clicks inside of her, and she goes to one of her employees and tells her that he might be the CEO.
To the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf Riverside Plaza.
That's a real CEO.
John sees this happening, and even though he doesn't hear what she says, he figures by the way that she was talking that she might know who he is, and he then talks to her in private and reveals his true identity. He then asks her for her ideas, and she tells him how to treat the employees better so that they don't leave, and shares the way she keeps all her employees happy. He then makes her promise not to reveal his identity, and then finishes his shift with her. After getting caught for the second time, he travels to San Diego, California to finish off his last job and work as a team member. He meets up with Jacob and he teaches him how to run the register. He then works on making tea, and he learns that even though tea makes 50% of their sale, they don't have a lot of variations for the customers.
Seems like that's a ton of choices still.
In the world of tea, there is hundreds of thousands of types of tea.
You're kidding.
And he also learns that Jacob just moved to San Diego for a better life, but he's still struggling financially and sleeps on the floor of a guy's house because he can't afford a bed. John then tries to take care of customers, but the register system was complicated and he takes a long time to finish an order. And finally, John's undercover time comes to an end, and he invites his employees to reveal his true identity.
John Fuller, I'm our president and CEO of the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf.
Oh, wow.
So you're on Undercover Boss.
First in was Diana, and he tells her that the inventory system was bad and that he was gonna change it for good, and he gives her $20,000 for her medical bill and also offers to pay for her school, and once she finishes, he promises her a gift of $10,000. And lastly, he gives her $40,000 for her children's college fund.
Having my kids both get to go to college, it's a gift that I never thought I'd be able to give them. Thank you.
Next in was Chris, and he tells him that he loved his enthusiasm and idea, and he offers to bring him to HQ and work on a task force that will expand the truck business, and he gives him 6 tickets for his family to a trip to a football game.
And if you work hard, you do a great job, that good things happen. My future looks brighter in the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf.
After that was Tatiana, and he thanks her for being honest with him, and he tells her that she'll be relocated to a store closer to her house, and he gives her a brand new car.
I'm just thankful. John is my guardian angel and hero today. He saved the day.
And last but not least was Jacob, and he tells him that he loved how passionate he was about his job and offers to send him to an all-expense-paid trip to Sri Lanka so he can see the tea farms and share new ideas. He then offers to be his mentor and offers him a full-time job and pay for an apartment for a whole year.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have a bed. There's so much stress that's gonna be taken off my shoulders. This is definitely going to change my life.
Operating across the United States, Advanta Clean has specialized in keeping homes and businesses free from water damage and mold since 1994.
I'm Jeff Duden. I'm the CEO and founder of Advanta Clean.
Jeff wants to go undercover because he wants to see if their franchisees are using their guidebooks correctly and giving the highest quality of service that Advanta always promises. He'll be going undercover as Dusty, a contestant on a reality show, competing to win money.
I will be going undercover as Dusty, the hipster dude, Southern California type guy.
For his first job, he travels to Greenville, South Carolina to work as a molder meditation, and he meets up with Barry, who gives him his protective suit so spiders and snakes don't get into him. And they crawl under the house to remove mold, and he shows him how to properly clean the mold, and Jeff sees how passionate Barry is about doing his job right and serving his customers. Jeff is impressed by him, and although the crawl space was very tiny and smelly and a little scary for him, he follows Barry's instructions and does pretty well. While working together, he learns that Barry has a young daughter who gives him the motivation to keep working hard, and he's also saving money to finally get married.
Absolutely believe that there's a future at Advanta Clean for Barry. We have lots of opportunities that he can grow into.
For his next job, he travels to Carnation, Washington to work under the lead technician, and he meets up with Kyle, and he takes him into a customer home which been recently water damaged. Jeff sees Kyle is taking care of the customer's home carefully, so it won't be damaged, which he really appreciates.
He's had responsibility, a little tight. So I'm excited to see how that discipline and demeanor plays into the job today.
They then work on removing the sink, and Jeff really struggles to remove it, and after that they remove the wall and find a damaged inner wall. While working together, he learns that Kyle is a veteran and came to Washington so he can work while taking a school for social work, as Kyle's passion is helping others.
Joined the National Guard, deployed to Afghanistan, did other stuff, military training, whatnot, and then came back to this career field.
He shares that he had a vet friend that killed himself in front of his family because he was drinking and had underlying mental issues. He sees that there are a lot of issues with veterans like PTSD, and he wants to be able to help them recover and live a happy life. For his next job, he travels to Douglasville, Georgia to work with a project manager. Project managers have a very big responsibility as they lead a whole team and are responsible for the job to be done effectively and safely, and he meets up with Steven, and he first teaches him how to vacuum the attic. While working together, Jeff learns that Stevens likes to collect old things and save them.
You ever seen one of these?
Steering wheel for a wagon?
Paddle car, back in the day. Before our time.
Yeah.
He also loves to ride his motorcycle with his family, which he now plans to upgrade. Everything was going quite well with Steven until he asked him how long it took him to grow his beard, which Jeff is stunned by the question because his beard is actually a disguise, and he answers by saying a few months, which should not be possible.
That's crazy though. I grew out this right here.
Yeah?
I grew it down to my chin. It took me 2 years.
Then everything becomes awkward before Steven finally says that he knows that he is the owner.
I know who you are, sir.
Well, I'm not quite sure what to say.
You got a little hairier since the last time I've seen you.
And with nowhere to hide, Jeff finally admits and reveals his true identity. Jeff then tells him that he's on Undercover Boss and makes him promise not to tell anyone else. After blowing his cover, Jeff travels to Indianapolis, Indiana to work with a cleaning technician, and he meets up with Danielle, who takes a liking to his looks immediately and gets excited to talk to him. She then teaches him how to clean up and wash the dishes and tells him to take care of the customer items as he does his own, which is a great rule to follow. Working together, he learns that she has a son with special needs and that her husband offed himself, so now she has to take care of their 3 children alone. Danielle moved to the big city a few months ago and hasn't been able to find a full-time job, and she loves working in Atlanta, and she hopes one day she can get a full-time job there.
I'm just really proud to have got to work with her today and get to know her a little bit.
Finally, Jeff's undercover time comes to an end, and he invites his employees to reveal his true identity.
I'm actually Jeff Dude, and I'm the CEO and founder of Atlantic Lane.
Wow.
First in was Steven, and they joke about him figuring out his true identity very fast, and he tells him that he loved the way he represented the brand, and rewards him with a fully paid football match and weekend vacation, and then gives him his dream bike.
It feels amazing. I've never had anything like this happen in my life. Never expected anything to happen. I just work because I like to work.
Next in was Kyle, and he tells him that he was impressed with how well he did the job for a short time that he was with the company, and he then gives him $20,000 to finish his school and do whatever he wants.
Having the support of Jeff and this opportunity, it's getting me so much closer to my ultimate goal.
After that was Danielle, and he tells her that he appreciates how much she cared for the customer's properties, and he then offers to send her and her family to an all-expense-paid vacation, and also gives her a full-time promotion, and offers to pay her rent for the next 2 years, and thanks her for being an inspiration.
I feel like I do have a future now, like I can actually breathe again, and it feels amazing.
And last in was Barry, and he tells him that he loved his energy and had a lot of fun working with him, and then gives him $10,000 for his wedding, and offers to give him his own franchise, which is worth $100,000.
And now we have something that we could grow on, we have something to look forward to. He gave me a better chance to live.